asked her, were you not, मतलब you were busy with your stuff? So she was interested. नहीं नहीं, I don't have this one. तो her CV मैंने forward किया, वो that there's मैंने check किया जो भी, तो follow up कर मेरा.
Hi everyone listening on YouTube. We'll be starting the
It's okay.
stream in
They're
some
not very
minutes,
vocal about it. And
in
Christmas
five
का
to ten
time भी चल
minutes.
रहा है, so everyone can do it. अच्छा, January में December.
बसंता
What?
वो लिंक भेज दो उसमें
Yeah, especially those two
म्यूटेड
roles,
कुछ नहीं है सर
UX researcher and UX UI
तो
designer.
म्यूट कर देते हैं ना नहीं बेसिकली यहाँ से ऑडियो कर दो चारों
हाँ,
लिंक कर दो
ये तो यार बेस्ट है.
सारे लिंक कर देते हैं
And सबको approach करो, like whoever you think जिनसे बात हुई है ना personally, because that's what I did also. I directly cold DM all LinkedIn. Dia को किया, Chris को किया,
ऑल ऑडियो वन
yo, hello. Hey Vasanta, I can hear you. I think we need to talk normally.
have to speak a bit louder, right?
Yeah,
Much louder. I'll close the door, but still much louder. Okay.
yeah, probably talking normally will help
Okay, this is fine. Can somebody listen to
because
my audio? I hope there's no delay.
someone from the back. Can you hear me?
If we talk too normally, the IRL audience won't be able to hear us.
Yeah, I think once we start, we'll talk normally, and that much is enough for
Yeah,
it to pick it up.
yeah.
बस माइंड नहीं कर रहा है कि है कुछ एक्स्ट्रा. Just like how we're chatting, that should be enough.
I think this is fine. Okay, I'll be a little louder. Uh,
Same here, bro.
should we start? I'll send you the link.
Which on the signal and before I was just one thing, if you're asking questions, raise your hand, I'll give you the mic so that it gets recorded in the
Yeah.
stream.
This is an audio only session, so you don't need to worry about privacy as much.
And I think
I mean, you need to worry. The whole point is that you need to worry about your privacy, but we are trying to like not show people's faces.
should we keep it like open? Yeah, do we want to keep the question answers towards the end because
I think it's good because what
discussion,
happens is,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
the discussion part
for
helps.
sure.
So you
Awesome.
can help us bring back to track.
Okay, cool.
I've shared it on the. Acha, Basanta has already shared. Basanta has already shared.
Yes, one more thing is
I've sent YouTube.
if you have a question, you just raise your hand. It's like we'll keep our actual Q&A at the end, but in the middle also, if you
Yeah.
want to ask any question, you can.
Clarification.
Some term is not clear, and we are continuously discussing that term, and you don't know. Please speak to us.
Yeah, because what happens is you might have some questions in the middle, but then by the end you might have some different questions. Yeah.
One question: should I disconnect from Discord because it's not working? Apparently, just have people on YouTube and tell them to post their questions in the comments.
It's not working on Discord. Oh, just a sec. I might have turned off the camera.
Not camera, it's like audio.
Audio is not working.
Bala is there. Let it work.
Okay, we'll see.
Do, 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 do.
Just post the YouTube link on Discord. Can somebody check? Can you check if the YouTube audio is working? You are not there. I'll send you the link. Yeah. No, those ones are not. Yeah, this is okay. Ah, this is fine. No, see, this is my window. This that one is not supposed to work. No, calm down. This is supposed to work. It's fine. Hey.
We are live, by the way. Audience is coming in, so I want to be creative, but I don't want to talk.
Yeah, we are already live, but the session is not yet started. So for people in the live audience who are confused,
The one guy in the live audience.
the one guy in the live audience.
Oh, nice. Sure,
Yeah, sure,
please.
right.
We follow the philosophy that there's no stupid question.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stupid
obviously.
question.
I mean, there are some stupid questions, but
Yeah, but
it's not.
we could evaluate once it's asked.
This session is good to ask them.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. We'll start with okay. So let us start the session. I am Abhay. I like to call myself the chief dev of Formster.app, which is a privacy preserving forms application built on top of Noster. Yeah, and Nihal, you can go.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Nihal, and I contribute to Bitcoin and Nostr through various organizations. Primarily work with this company called Fedi. Fedi is basically a Bitcoin wallet, and it has much more than that. It's imagine WhatsApp, but on a decentralized system, which got everything in it. I know it's a wrong comparison to make, but for people to understand in general, that's what it is. Yeah. So
My day job is at Full Bitcoin. That's a Bitcoin only exchange, but most of my other work goes into working with Nostr stuff, like fixing Nostr clients. Yeah, mostly just bug fixes. I just report. I use a bunch of Nostr clients and report to the devs, and they fix it. Yeah.
Those-
for the audience, anyone who does not know Nostr yet,
Oh, great.
please. Okay, so we'll start with Nostr.
Sure, please.
Cool. So, Abhay, do you want to give an introduction of what Nostr is?
Yes. So how many? Oh, sorry, I didn't see how many of you already know Noster. No. Okay. 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 So what Nostr is, it's basically a decentralized communication protocol. What that means is, and it's permissionless. So practically, what it means for you is you can log on to a platform without anybody's permission. As in, you don't need to give any of your data if you don't want to. If you give your data, it's because you choose to make some information public, like maybe your pseudonym or something. The data then does not go to one company. The data is federated across multiple relays, or multiple public relays, and it's authenticated by your private key. So you generate a private key on your end, and that is your entire identity. That private key is your identity. It doesn't have any data associated with it which you don't want to. So if you associate it with some data to it, it's because you want it to, and then that goes out to the relays, and that's how you communicate with other pub keys, other keys that have done it, and which means that you can it becomes a baseline for communications across the internet. Then you can build any sort of thing that you want on top of it. Like there are a lot of popular Twitter clones, Twitter like applications that are built on top of Nostr. I have built Formster, which is like a Google Forms. I'm also building Calendar, like a Google Calendar, Google Meet. Anything that you have already built on the internet, it can be easily recreated on Nostr, and then you can build since the data is now interoperable and not logged into silos in like private. Like what happens when you are in a private company is that Google's data is Google's data. They won't share it with, let's say, Facebook or Apple. But now it's opened up. Now it's no longer Google's data. Now it's your data. And wherever you want to take that data, you will be able to take that data. So it enables a lot of new applications while also being sure that all the older applications that were already there on the internet can be rebuilt on top of it. So hopefully that made sense. Yeah, feel free to
I'll
ask.
give another attempt at explaining it. Which is think of it as okay, so it's not a platform, it's a protocol. Just like how HTTP is a protocol or SMTP is a protocol. So HTTP is the web, and to use Google, you don't need to use any Google's browser. So you can use it from Firefox, you can use it from Edge, or to use your email. Let's say I have a custom email with my custom domain, basantagoswami at unsane.in. That's registered with Hostinger, but I can change it to some other provider as well, and it's not tied to any particular hosting service. I can take it to let's say Namecheap or some go there the some email service provider, and it will start working. I have my old emails. Everyone will still be able to reach me. So Noster is similar, where you have public and private keys, and as long as you have the private key and the corresponding public key, you can choose any server to host your data basically, which are called relays in Noster. And you also have like file servers and Git servers and all other stuff as well. But yeah, basically that's
So like how on Gmail, like if you're on Gmail, but the person you're communicating with is on Yahoo, so nobody can stop you from mailing from Gmail to Yahoo. You can still do that, right? So it's similar, but it's much more open. The email was very early. We were very early when we made email. There were a lot of things that we did not know that could go wrong, that have gone wrong with email. But now, yeah, we are at a place where we can build better communication technologies.
So I've got a question for that. Why this and why now? Because now, once you'd mentioned that there's HTTP and there's SMTP, there's FTP, there are different things, different purposes, and it's already built. Now, if you have something like a Noster, which is a communications, which is touted as a communications protocol, what is the need of this now?
It has born from the need. So technologies like these don't come in because investors wanted it to happen. Technologies like Noster and Bitcoin have come because there was a need for this, and the need was you had At that time, Twitter was just being bought by in the process of being bought by Elon. And the whole problem was that we all of the world communicates on a platform, and that platform is controlled by one company and one CEO, which is not good, because then you can block people. You can say, I don't like this person's speech, I will block it. I don't like this. And even if it's not on Twitter, even if it's on Meta, or even if it's on some other platform, that platform then controls the speech. And not just speech, they control the flow of data itself, which is why you needed something like Noster to happen, because you needed a protocol where we can all communicate, and you are the censor. Like, you decide whom you want to listen to and you don't want to listen to, instead of a company deciding it for you, which was the need, because of which Noster was born.
Fair enough. There's a question which I had in mind regarding this also. Now, before Facebook, Instagram, all of these individual platforms came along, all of this was built on protocols. And then they catered to what people needed, and people needed absolute convenience. And they wanted, sharing of images. So they submitted to, okay, I'll give you my data, manage everything at the back end for me. I don't need all that headache. So Noster is at a place where you don't have, like, people who are technically savvy, and I'm not saying, grandmoms and grandpops can't use it, but at the same time, if they need to be using it, they just need a one-click solution or a one-tap solution, what they're used to now. And that's partly to be blamed because of the platforms that have been doing this. And since 2008, 2007, people have, like with Instagram, Facebook, etc., they've made it easier for the communication to happen. Now, if you're disrupting them and telling them, okay, we need to go back and fix things which were because of our own, inhibitions, we couldn't. We handed out our data freely to these corporations. Why do it now?
Okay. I'll take a stab at it, and then I guess Basant can
review with you, and then I'll answer.
Okay, so it's a good question, and we all think, like, why it's convenience versus privacy is always a trade-off, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You could still have privacy and still have all the conveniences of the world that you want. It's just that the systems that have been built right now made that trade-off, because it was easier to get convenience faster at the stake of privacy. But it is very much possible to give people the privacy that they want, as well as the convenience that they want. It's just that we have to build those solutions, and those solutions are being built, like self plug. But if you use Formster, it's as easy as using Google Forms. Or if you use Amethyst, I think it's a little tough, but it's almost as easy as using X or Facebook. So we'll get there. It's not there yet because investment has not been there yet. Not a lot of money has flown in yet. But as money starts flowing in, these sorts of problems will also start to get solved.
Now, again, there's this thing about the chicken and egg problem when you have external stakeholders putting in funds for it or supporting you financially. They would want to monetize the data or take parts of it. How do you differentiate
I
between
don't
those
think
two?
they would want to monetize the data. I think they would want to monetize the product, as in they want to get money back.
Sure.
And if they see that there is a way of getting money back, which doesn't necessarily have to be through monetizing the data, I think they should be okay with that. And the whole point of being on Noster is to not have the monetization of the data aspect
Correct.
from X. So I don't think, like, if somebody is stupid enough, and people have been stupid enough,
Yeah.
there have been clients on Noster that have tried to do this and they failed.
Yeah.
And they will fail because people are not on Noster for this reason. People are on Noster because they want to control their own data, control their own sovereignty. And if they're willing to pay for other things, which they are, I think this problem can be solved. It doesn't necessarily, you need to make money.
Exactly.
Everybody who's a developer,
Yeah.
who's a company, who's an investor, needs to make their money back. This is baseline. If we don't do that, we are not going to kick off this protocol. We are not going to kick off. We were never going to be able to kick off the internet. But the whole point is that money can be made ethically and not at the cost of users' data.
Sorry.
Yeah, so far a lot of things have been subsidized, right? So people don't realize the cost of actually running a server because they can just join it and they see 100,000 other users and it's all working for free and they think it's like very very cheap. Even I remember like I was using internet since I was a child, right? I started using from 2G phones and stuff. But even then, I did not realize that all the data that I'm generating by going to these websites and stuff, they have to be hosted somewhere. There are servers. Like I always had the question, like who runs those? Like where are the data? Are the government doing something about it, or how is it happening? Like what's the internet? Where is the internet basically? That's because it has been subsidized so badly, and like the ad based model like always makes you the product, right? So you don't even realize, and the cost is hidden from the user. So once the cost is actually shown to people, people kind of freak out a bit initially. But even then, like I don't think Nostr needs to be widely adopted by everyone to for it to become a successful thing. Look at BitTorrent. BitTorrent never became mainstream.
Yeah.
Then like people who always are trying to be ethical, they never used it. But it has been there since forever and it has not gone anywhere. And
Yeah.
it's still being used. And
True.
yeah,
People do make money off of BitTorrent as well,
Token.
debit servers and a lot
Oh,
of that. Yeah.
there's a BitTorrent token as well, right?
Yes.
it's an ecosystem of its own. And BitTorrent, you take Tor for example, you take all these small things that are probably niche or too niche for most people, but they're still successful and they have a need to fill in this one.
I would not say they are very successful, as in, because success is a very subjective term. Everybody has different measures of success, but I think one measure of success would be that they have been able to survive for 10 years and more. And if that is the measure of success, yes, they have been able to survive on this very hostile rest of the network, and they're still there and they're still functioning, which means there is something there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of, he mentioned servers and the physical aspect of where your information and data is stored. Now, when you have companies like Meta and Apple, etc., they have their huge data centers, large servers, space, and that's where they need the money from the audience to power those. So it's basically a loop in itself. Now, for a Noster, how do you expect for individuals to run these servers and on a large scale? Like how does that work?
You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, I don't think individuals will ever run their own servers. Most people.
I disagree.
But then again, then you'll have a centralization problem, right? Because everything is funneled to one or two main servers, which houses all the data.
So okay, so I think by individuals I mean people who just want to use the server. There are always going to be more people willing to pay for someone else to host data for them, and it's not a problem if the private data is encrypted. And we have encryption in Nostr, so private is always encrypted and public data is always public and it's uncensorable. So I think what we'll have is we'll have two class of Nostr citizens who one class that hosts everything for themselves and their friends and family. Then the second class uses it, and probably a third class who
Just
are like
pays for everything.
professionals. Sorry.
Who pay for everything
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
feed our stomachs.
yeah, like so there are always going to be different classes of people, but as long as the problem with Facebook is not that your public data is harvested, your private data is always used to target you in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Same with X,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No one is complaining that the shit posts or the memes that you posted got like used for training AI or something. It's
Right.
always about your private data.
Yeah.
So basically, you should be able to do everything that you want. If you are fine with giving away your data to a server, you should be able to do it. Do it. It's fine. Even do it on Noster. Nobody will stop you from doing it. But if you don't want to give your public information, encrypt it, and still be able to communicate, you should be able to do it. That is something that the protocol should allow you to do. And then if you want to host everything, like you even don't want to give away your data, you want to make private things private and only public things public through your own hardware, you should also be able to do that. And the beauty of this protocol and why we are discussing it right now is because this protocol even allows you to do that. Run your own everything. You don't have to like even trust a single server to be able to communicate with the world.
One more thing I'll add here, not related to Noxer, but I'll give an example of convenience and privacy and how it works in something that we all use, WhatsApp. So normal phone calls are not encrypted at all. If you make a phone call, the ISP, not the ISP, the telecom provider can just listen to all the conversations that are
And
going
they
on,
listen.
and they do listen, yeah. And I think in 2G or whatever, it was not even encrypted till the tower. So you could have a tracking device sitting here, and I could be making a call, and anyone who has like can listen to the radio frequency could just hear all the conversations going on. So then they added some privacy so that random people can't listen, but the ISP still can. Then WhatsApp came out, and WhatsApp decided to add encryption to the app itself using your phone number. So your identity is your phone number, so you don't need to do a lot of other private key setup and public key setup. So as long as you trust that WhatsApp is actually encrypting and not doing anything shady there, it is encrypted and it is
Yeah.
more
I
secure.
mean, I mean, they are encrypting it. It's just that whether they're also decrypting it later on.
Most probably not, but yeah, like
I
we
don't
will
know.
come to
I
that.
don't know.
But,
I don't trust that.
so WhatsApp did implement your privacy setup by just releasing a end-to-end encrypted by default thing. Signal improve upon that trust model even further by open sourcing their code. So that now you can like even look at the code. There could be another app like White Noise that allows you to have the same properties of WhatsApp and Signal plus also the added advantage of being able to set your own servers. So like it can be incremental. And now let's say White Noise is basically Signal or WhatsApp or Noster. It's built on Noster, but it's in very early stage now, so you can't really use it for like calls and video calls and stuff. But let's say it reaches that level. Now what happens? Now you can just download the app. Maybe it can even have a context sync system like Signal does, and you can log in using your phone number. It doesn't really matter, right? So you do that, and then all your data is encrypted by default, and that's enough for most people. Someone might go like a bit farther, and they can look at the code and figure out that it is indeed getting encrypted, and there is no shading going on in the code itself. Someone might decide to run their own servers, and then now it's like completely in their own control. And like this incremental model of privacy, which allows complete convenience, is what we'll eventually get, right?
True.
And also because the data harvesting model is not sustainable, so it's eventually going to burn itself to the ground.
Sure. We'll take a pause there. Does anyone have questions? Yes, please.
Yeah, we spoke about Tor. So even they run their own relays. Is there a plan to run Noster with them in
It's
collaboration
already
with
there.
Tor? It's
Yes.
already
Yeah.
there.
So in fact, what you can do is you can run a relay on your phone, then have Tor on your phone, and then connect to that relay from anywhere in the world through the Tor network. That's already there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because related with servers, right? You can run them on all.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever you discussed right now, the protocol and how the privacy concerns that you built into, and you talked about mainstream as well. To make this mainstream, obviously you have to monetize. I mean, people should be able to monetize, and based on your whatever you guys spoke, all the cost will be transferred to the end user, something like that. I mean, like how does that work? Like how do you see, like, a company building on top of it, like, think about, making money. Like it's I mean, it, if you guys can give an example, like if anybody else has done it, then we would be
Yeah,
happy
I
to hear it.
think
But
so. I'll
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
getting to that, level where you have that network effects. See, the network effect is also a thing, right?
Yeah,
So
100%.
Yeah.
even if the pay money, even if people pay money, then you'll have to have that network effects to grow
Yep.
as big to compete with the mainstream
Yep.
platforms.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like,
Yes, yes. So there are already examples. Even the company that I'm working with, Formster, we also have a monetization model, as in where people are we have a freemium thing where it's free for most of the things, but for some of the features it's paid, which is also the model that other clients have taken. So there's a
so is it a customer or,
Yes,
enterprise?
it's the end user. So basically,
Okay.
we have a custom branding feature where you can brand your forms. If you are a company, you can brand your form according
For
to
the
your company.
enterprise, it's an enterprise solution.
It's an enterprise solution. It's also an end customer solution. You might not be a company. You might just be an individual. You might have a survey or anything that you want to conduct. You can just purchase a custom brand URL for your forms.
Yeah, but I don't do that, right? Like if I'm like using, I want to use a
But that
messaging
doesn't
service.
matter, right? So if the pricing is correct and if 100 people are using the product and only 10 people are paying, even that might be enough for you to sustain itself. So
It's the ROI. I think, people will think, like, let's say I'm going to a new social network,
mhm.
and if I have to pay to, chat with people, post
But you
something.
don't need to pay to chat with people. How it's done is there are certain features that only premium users want. So like there is a feature in Primal called Primal Studio, which only the creator wants. The creator wants to see analytics of how their videos have performed, how their posts have performed, and for that they pay Primal. The creator subsidizes the cost for the end user. So the end user doesn't have to pay for their basic needs. Like I want to post, I don't have to
Their
pay.
servers will be free.
Their
End
servers
users.
are free right now.
Okay.
Most Noster public relays are free to use right now. Most of these companies are, and to be very honest, relays are very cheap to run. You can run your relay on a Raspberry Pi. You don't need to you don't need to like have like multi-billion-dollar server setups to be able to run a Noster relay. And at the same time, there could be other. So basically what happens is it's like we'll keep your data for 3 months. Most of the relays could be like this, and then there's no guarantee on the data. We can delete it, we might not store it. If you want guarantees on the data, pay us. Then you will be paying them and be subsidizing the cost for the other three, the people that are getting it for free for 3 months. And but you'll also get the guarantees that okay, my data will be there for however long I want.
Now, another thing,
I mean, where do you see the niche? This will work. I mean,
It's working. I
yeah.
just wanted to correct you because uh, just wanted to correct you because you are assuming that it's not working, but Nostr has been. Yeah,
sure.
but Nostr has not been not new. It has been already there for 5 years, and the ecosystem is live and functioning, which means there is something there. There's also in Nostr there's something called Zaps. We'll discuss it later. It's not exactly what you're asking, but it's also another model for creators to get paid.
Yeah, one
I was
answer
getting
to
to
your
that.
question was like Proton Mail, if you've heard of it. They have paid features, and people who vote with their wallet, they get those features. And it, in the end, subsidizes the people who are using it for free.
Also, to be noted is that we're talking about a payment system which is Bitcoin, and that's how it interacts with the whole system. And in that, like if a company or an individual chooses to monetize their time and effort, what they're doing, if they're getting paid in sats, that is an incremental model in itself. So we're not talking about fiat currencies which depreciate over time and you have a lot of fiat which you need to chase after. So that's one more thing I think will add on to the entire ecosystem being built over time. Because Nosto also initially it required funding from external, and half of it is being done by Jack Dorsey, if I'm not wrong.
Not sure if half of it is, but yeah, a lot of it
A
is.
lot of it, three fourth maybe. So
Correct.
Not give any false impression.
Yes,
100%.
so a lot of Nostr will be always be subsidized, because somebody will, if there are free things that are there, somebody will be paying for it, and it's never going to change. Somebody will, but that somebody could be the power user, that somebody could be the enterprise who's coming in, who's making money. So somebody needs to make money, somebody needs to pay, and the free stuff that you get for marketing is what you will get with subsidies. But this is not new. This is a model that has been followed by millions of networks, like companies, and this is not new. This is old, and this is how it strives.
In addition to what you just mentioned regarding Zaps, so what he is building is Formster. That's one aspect of it. It can be tied to other communication protocols being built on Nostr, I mean, platforms being built on Nostr, clients rather. And then you have circular economy flowing where people, if you are just posting, and as of now, when you post something on, if you should post on Twitter or X or whatever, people like it, they want to interact more, and probably they are feeling very generous, they want to tip some money for it, but they can't. They're just doing away with likes and stuff. But if you have a power user or someone who is influential, they post something which they find of value on different clients of Nostr, and then people from across the world do pay for it, and that becomes a loop in itself.
So
There is
one example was when this event was announced. Someone liked it and they sent us 100 rupees just to the post.
Yeah.
100 rupees in Bitcoin, and that is like they just like that. Okay, you guys are doing this, take some money. And imagine like if we have 20 followers on Hoster right now. Imagine if it was like a big page with lots of Bitcoiners following it, and they want, okay, fund this initiative, give them more money to host more conversations like these.
Yep.
I think it's a good.
Yeah. No, it's great for creators. In fact, like I would say, all of these people who are building and who are very critical, that whatever they say online on your X or Twitter, oh, these people might shut down my channel. These people might, take down my channel for having differing opinions or views. Nostr was built for them, ideally.
Everybody does feel that the internet and social media has become a slop generating machine,
Yep.
right? And why is that? Because you're not allowed to say stuff there anymore, right? And AI is already there, which is already AI is already safety trained. So AI will not say anything of consequence, and the people that will say things of consequence will be banned. So, so the traditional social media has become slop.
Things like, I mean, right now it's okay. I think I don't know if I can say experimental, but even let's say if it goes mainstream, we talk about things like governance and like,
Yes.
I mean, you can say like, people can say what they want, but people can't, let's say they can't share like how to commit a crime. And like, yeah, I mean, I'm using Nostr. I want to express my opinion, or I want to share my skill. I will share them, how to hack a old man's, or how to financially scam someone.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Like, I'm just saying, I'm giving some examples. Have you thought about governance, those
Yes.
kind of
So,
yeah.
Yeah, are we going to touch on web of trust and censorship and?
oh, good idea. But yeah, we'll come to Web of Trust.
Because I mean, we've seen this kind of in mainstream, like how Elon
But
Musk
I want to
Musk
address
went
the core
about
of the
with
issue
X.
first. So governance is being thought of. We'll come to that, which is one way to do it is Web of Trust. We'll explain Web of Trust, but the very core of the your question, like how do you stop crimes from happening on Nostr?
Yeah, let's say anything, like right. I mean, X, like there are a lot of issues. I mean,
Yes.
there are a lot of fringe elements there, and
Yes.
I mean, still it's a debate. Like it's very very complicated debate, but I mean,
Yes. So
yeah.
there are two answers here. One answer is simply you cannot stop it. Okay, at a protocol level, you cannot stop crime from happening. This is just something. It's nature. Because
True.
cryptography exists, because relays exists, people can be able to abuse them, and you cannot stop them from doing that at the protocol level. You can obviously do it at the physical level, as in you can if a person is hosting, let's say, pornography of illicit kind that you don't want to propagate, and it's illegal in your country, and you find out that there is a person running the relay, you can obviously send the police to their home, and they can obviously stop it. So that government's governance model is there. The second is, the person that does not want to see this. So like, I'm a person, I'm coming into Noster. It is fine that anybody can say whatever they want, but I don't want to see that content, right? At least for me, I should, if my kid logs into Noster, I don't want the kid to be able to see those kinds of horrific things. For that, there is a governance model that has been built onto Noster called Web of Trust. What Web of Trust is Basanta will probably be able to explain better, but I'll just give you a gist before I move on to him. Is you have your social graph, right? As in, you have your friends, your friends have friends, you have parents, acquaintances, people you know, right? And what you can say to Noster, say to the Noster clients and Noster relays is, I only want to see content that are at X level away from my social graph. So if you are sure that there are no criminals in your social graph, you will be sure that you will not be seeing criminal content on your application. So that is one governance model. I'll let Basanta explain.
Let's say some random guy comes to your house and knocks on your door and tries to have a conversation with you. It's like, hey, I don't have any plans this weekend. Let's have a beer and sit. And you're like, who the F are you? Like, why are you here? Like, I don't even know you. Like, but let's say the same guy comes to your house with a friend of yours, right? Now you don't have to worry about his behavior or any of the factors that make him a potential threat to you. You can just invite him in, you can have a conversation with him, and you will do that. And that's because he is with someone that you trust. Uh, and this is how real life works. You don't. There are 7 billion people, and I know like there will probably be 1 million people who are just completely psychopathic. Like even in this country, like you'll always find a Hindu that hates a Muslim. You'll always find a woman that hates men. So you'll always find some people who are like completely crazy about what they believe in and how they go about it. So, but you don't associate with them. You don't talk to them. Like in real life, you just don't come across them because you always feel
At least until you find out.
yeah. But yeah, most of the time you filter everyone that you interact with in real life based on how they are connected to you in some way or another. So in social media, you are also doing that. Like there are, God knows how many millions of people on X, but you are connected to them via the X algorithm. So X algorithm is your friend and he's being the proxy for you. Which is not good because the algorithm is a service that's being run by a for-profit company. You don't become friends with a for-profit company, right? You don't invite the board members of X into your house to have a chat with them. So you do that with your friends. So we are using the same model where you have friends or you have people that you follow, and you can use their graph, the people that they follow, and the people that they follow, and like you can go nth depth. You can go into like the nth depth and figure out maybe like a group of 1,000 people or a group of 25,000 people or a group of 100,000 people, and you only listen to those guys and you only interact with those guys. And once you do that, you see that you no longer see a lot of crazy content that you would otherwise see if you are just listening to anything that's going on in the server. Second thing is, once you make people capable of saying anything, what people say is very different. They don't just say nonsensical stuff. It's like drugs. If you keep trying to ban drugs in a country again and again and again, people, only the criminals will be ones who are supplying drugs. And if you loosen it a little bit, if you decriminalize drugs, maybe selling it is a crime, but if you decriminalize the consumption of it, the drug consumption goes down. So most people don't know because most people are willing to take care of their life. They're not trying to just have a very short like period of time where they enjoy everything. So same with Nostrum. People say reasonable stuff. They don't just say random.
Yeah, it has a cost. So like, if you say bad things, you will be let off from people's web of trust. That is how
Yeah, who decides what's bad thing? See, I would say, I mean,
your web of trust
you're
is.
doing the governance, let's say, similar to what other platforms do,
We are
but without
doing
censorship.
cyber Swaraj. We are doing
Without
cyber-
censorship.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
We are doing self-governance.
Swaraj. So the name of the podcast is Cyber Swaraj. Swaraj means self Raj, self rule, which means that you're governing yourself. That is how
Yeah, but
we
go ahead,
function.
go ahead.
But go ahead, yeah.
No, I think it's okay. Like,
No, no,
let
go ahead, go ahead, go
let
ahead.
others have a chance.
Also,
Yeah, yeah.
no, to add to that, right? Like when you spoke of all of this recent rule which came out of Australia, where children under 16, they're not allowed to access any social media. Can clients on Noster become so big in the near future, where countries will tell them, okay, you cannot do certain things, cannot.
Of course, they will. There will be clients. Probably, I mean, it's not big far off where, let's say, Primal has to do something like this. But the beauty of Nostr is that there will always, you can always make your own client. As in, you can always fork a version of Primal that doesn't do it and run it yourself. And people do that,
Fair enough.
and it still works.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue into one question. We have talked about privacy a lot. So clients can't see your private data. Clients can't censor you. So I am thinking clients can probably see my location as well and my private IP address as well. That would be most people's questions, right? Like,
100%. No, when you're using, so I mean, how does that? Okay, great. I mean, thanks for
yeah,
pointing
because
it in
most
that
people,
direction.
when they talk about tracking, they talk about the company selling your data and location data. Location is very, very important. Like IP address tracking is one of the biggest issues. So what's up with that in Nostr?
I think so one is you can give away your location if you wanted to. There are apps that let you do that.
Don't tell them.
But yeah, but the good thing is that since everything is open source and everything is you can and everything is transparent on the protocol. Like even if you post, you can check the relays to see what all you have posted and what all the client has added on top of it to be able to index and stuff. So you can see it, but the relays do see your IP address, which can be tied to your location. Let's say at least till 50 meters easily. So yeah, a good thing to do would be to use a VPN when you're even if you're using Nostr.
No,
We
but
have talked about Nostr for about 30 minutes right now.
We
And
should move on.
yeah,
So one way to do it, I think,
this,
was to talk about the internet and how screwed up the internet is right now. Because like we've all talked about the good things that are happening. Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. But you need to realize how bad the state of internet is at this
because like
particular moment.
once you are using Nostr, you don't even think that the servers could still be tracking in some sense, right? Because the IP addresses are, I mean, the layer that uses IP, the IP addresses, TCP/IP, was built in a way where they were not even thinking about privacy. They were not even thinking about anything of the internet becoming this big, right? And it just became. I don't think anyone maliciously did it, but it just became
we
how it is.
didn't we hadn't realized how much could your own data be weaponized against you. We hadn't realized that when we were building the internet, because we were cultured with not giving away data, matlab, even in the first place. Because like when you talk to someone, when you went to visit someone, that was it. You didn't even had mobile phones. When you went to your home, nobody cared what you were doing at your home. Nobody knew what you were doing at your home. It was privacy by default, privacy by nature. But that we lost it, and we didn't realize what we were losing until the data started being weaponized against you, until you started getting spam calls, until government started going after activists, until employers started surveilling their employees, and a lot of that.
I think, as a,
I was saying instead of like before we tell them or we tell people what is wrong with the internet, we should hear their thoughts.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea.
What do you think? Like anything like that you think is wrong with the internet, or why does this session resonate with you? Like when we said internet is surveilled and all of that physical layer.
Okay, yeah. So one thing that I often think about is like we humans, we have cognitive biases and all, and how these algorithms actually like use them, manipulate us, let us do so many things, and this have like very big impact on a societal level, governmental level. There's one thing. Then there is so much, like with the advent of AI, like it's so easy to spoof anything, to fake anything at all. What's real, what's not.
Yep.
That's
By the
another big
way,
problem.
for people watching the stream, there are like 4 to 6 people constantly watching. We have a mic that we give out to the audience. So the voices that you hear are from different audiences, and we hear, of course, speaking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one. And also, yeah, like the echo chambers that you form. Yeah, these are some things which come to my mind directly when I think.
Yep. Yep.
Anyone else?
Before you continue, I'll just add one more thing before I forget. Actually, so when you talked about how physical in the physical layer privacy was not an issue, that was because you could only talk to someone that's standing right in front of you.
Yeah.
Let's say I have to relay a message from my side to Abhay, and I only have Nihal with me right now. I'll have to tell it to him, and he'll have to tell it to him, right? So the privacy issue of like everyone who is involved knowing the conversation existed in physical layers as well.
No, but to be honest, sorry to make you wait for so long. But even when we had long distance communication via mail, we still had mechanisms to make sure that the privacy is intact, either via seals that you had on the mail or with the Caesar ciphers where you could scramble the information. Like if you go and look at Mahabharat, it's like way old 2000-year-old scripts, you will still see the use of jumbled letters so there's a scene where Pandu gets a letter from the king. I forget the name, but he gets it and he opens it and he says, he looks at it and says, "Oh, it's scrambled. I have to descramble it." So we've had privacy protecting measures for long distance communications for a long time. But yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with the internet right now it's the information overload. Obviously, like I think of course it has created a lot of good as well, but it all as usual the great technologies come with the downsides. I think the biggest one is the distortion of the reality itself, our shared and this complete disruption of how the social discourse is happening currently. Really, like as you said, like nobody can speak anything of substance because they will be cancelled or whatever, or for that matter, like it has spilled over to personal life in a way which is very poisonous. I feel like I think it is ruining a lot of relationships as well in many ways, because like we don't have any common ground. Like I can say something and there will be some news report fact that supports that and something else completely that, right? So it has completely distorted our sense of reality, objective reality itself. Like now there's like people believing flat earths, right? So there's a huge community of flat earthers itself, so that itself is such a mind boggling thing.
Do we have
So
someone
that is
here?
like I think the wildest
Flat
thing
earther.
the internet has done, like because of the information overload now. Earlier, at least, because it was that's the upside of some centralization, because some editors will be there or something will be there. Okay, yeah, of course, depends on who those people are. But yeah, like over the periods, like I think the old media technologies which are there, like at least the US in 1960s and 70s, they were pretty good, because like I think it was a nascent stages of news media and stuff like that, and people really spoke up and used their free speech rights very well. And I think there was like trust built by few people who could actually get people to believe in what they were thinking and actually countering the state as well, right? Basically, like Vietnam War was a good example of that. But like over the period of years, like I think that's gotten lost. I think social media and internet has played a big factor in that. So I think that's the one thing we need to get back, and AI is going to only make that worse, far worse.
AI is a big thing that I'm hearing. AI, information overload.
Again, I'll probably get it back to physical reality once.
But let's hear from the audience, and then we'll summarize.
So one of the issues that I have specifically with all these internet platforms is that these are literally engineered, like there are like psychologists sitting behind, seeing how your brain works, what it responds to, designing algorithms in such a way. So I tried this thing where um, I wanted to design the algorithm, like tune it so that it caters to my needs. So, for example, I like only posts that I'm interested in, so that it shows me more posts. There are like, I think some pros of that was, um, you talk about Noster, like you only have people within your circle that you want to have, right?
Yep.
But in Twitter that I use currently, I use it mostly on my laptop, but I use it to find events, and I use it to find people, to explore communities, not to find local people that I already know. So I think there it helps. But again, it is engineered to become so hyper stimulating that you end up scrolling and spending a lot of time there.
Echo chambers, algorithms. I think we should
Yeah,
spend some time
algorithms,
there.
echo chambers, and also the fact that they are also like we have issues with discoverability in Nostr as of now. It's not great yet.
But one thing for authenticity, I think that you can touch on probably is the signatures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is the concentration of power. So
Absolutely.
it creates a lot of problems, including whatever they touched on. So the incentives are with the for-profit companies that are dominating the field, and then it also comes to stuff like fault tolerance and stuff like that. So when disaster strikes us and things like that happen, it all falls apart quickly because there are like very the redundancy is quite low because quite a
We
few.
saw it with Cloudflare.
Yeah.
Most
Right.
of the internet went down in Cloudflare.
Yeah. The biggest factor I think is actually in the physical layer rather than. Of course, there have been lots of good efforts done in the overlay layers. Like there are VPNs, there's Tor, there is I2P. There are lots of things that could help you with different objectives, but ultimately you're constrained to like ISPs that
Yep.
you have at your will to connect to the internet. That
Thank you for bringing that up. I would like you to you can keep the mic if you want to say something more, but I would just want to remind everybody, like, look at how broken the system is to talk to each other. What do you need? You need either a communication medium, which could be Wi-Fi. You get your own router, you get your own Wi-Fi. You need a bandwidth connection or a LAN connection. So if I can connect my router to your router, I should be able to talk to you. And we have all done that. We have all bought routers, we have all bought LAN wires, and we have all bought connections. Then why are we paying a monthly subscription to ISPs? It it is because they control the whole they control the whole system. He touched on the physical layer of the internet, and that is what is broken. The physical layer of the internet is what's broken, and we'll discuss how we can fix this. But yeah, you can go. I just wanted to emphasize on how
Yeah.
important this is, because we don't need it. If we are able to communicate with ourselves, and if I can communicate to you, you can communicate to someone else. You can transmit my message to somebody else. Why do we? Then why doesn't ISP need to come into the picture? And we'll discuss this. But
I'll just add one more like example. So when I was home, he called me to Abhay called me to ask when I'm coming to Bitspace, and the call probably went from here to Hyderabad or Mumbai somewhere. From there, probably to some US server, travel through the entire sea via like these huge fiber optic cables. Went there, got processed, then came back like pretty much travel the entire world to come back to me on Signal or whatsoever. That should not have happened. We are literally just like 300, 400 meters away, right? His call could have just gone through a few hops and reached me, but that is possible. That should how like that should that is how it should have worked. But yeah, it doesn't.
it doesn't
For some
come.
reason.
Yeah.
No,
But yeah,
yeah.
if
Please.
we could like connect within ourselves, it would not only solve like cost inefficiency, but also like it would give back control to ourselves.
Yep.
As long as there is even one bottleneck, uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so that could like constrain what we can access or what we ultimately access, because what information you get exposed to also like dictates how you lead your life and your decisions, your thinking process and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
No,
So we
Yeah.
ultimately the ideal aim is to like have everything like distributed rather than like having it monopolized.
Absolutely.
Now, coming to the whole thing which you just said, how you're keeping it distributed and not monopolized. In India specifically, we've all seen over the course of last 3-4 months, there have been 3 significant laws which are trying to curb everything being done on internet. Now, one of them was SIM binding, and probably you could explain and touch upon each of them as well. But the second one was having the app installed and asking these phone manufacturers to have an app which cannot be deleted. That's the second one. And the third one being the 3-4 telecom companies which are there. They need to combine and they're asking for the phone manufacturers to beam the location of each device to them so that they do not have to incur those costs. How does all of this translate to where we are now, and how did we end up here?
So I'll tell you. So there are two important things. The government says that it wants to protect you, which is why it's doing all this, and it's somewhat fair to expect from the government that they protect us, right? Because they already protect our borders with military and police and everything. So the expectation to have from the government that they should protect us is fair. It's not a bad expectation. Where the problem comes is when things like these happen, where you cannot protect yourself anymore. You have to rely on the government then to protect you, and there is a then that becomes a problem because you have given up all the methods of being able to protect yourself to the government. If you give up, if you're supposed to mandatorily install an app, maybe the government is all good, maybe they don't do anything bad with your data, but what if they lose your data? What if you are solely reliant on the security expertise of the government then to be able to make sure that your data is safe? And at the same time, you cannot if it is mandatory and you have to keep it on your app, you have lost the ability to then protect yourself also, which is the more concerning aspect of this whole situation, is that you have to lose, you are being made, it is being made sure that you have lost all ability to protect yourself in the cyberspace, and you have to then rely on the government.
I will add two more things here. This what was the app called? This is the
Sanchar sir.
Sanchar, right? So the app made a lot of news and people were concerned about it. So the app said it will protect you from spam calls. Like the actual post said it will protect you from spam calls and I think also like fraud
Lost
messages,
phones.
lost phones, like which can already be done using your
Google.
phone system, right? So it's
Find my.
find my device is already there. But anyway, this app made a lot of news, but most people don't realize that once you buy a SIM card, you give away your KYC info.
Yes,
Right?
and your location as well.
Yeah. So once you have the SIM card, that's tied to your personal.
So, sorry to cut you off. Even if you don't buy a SIM card, even if you just have a phone that has a SIM slot in it, even then you are giving up your location. It's just not tied to your identity. Yeah.
It's just synonymous identity, but
Yes.
because how the mobile data or the telecom industry works compared to your Wi-Fi internet is it's a bit different because Wi-Fi takes time to load, right? You once you connect to the Wi-Fi router, it takes some time. It authenticates with the password and stuff. So it's not instant. And once you go out of this room, it's not automatically connected to another Wi-Fi. It takes some time, and that's a acceptable trade-off. But with mobile networks, you need to be constantly connected to the network so that even when you are traveling, your map doesn't disconnect, and it needs to be always there. So what it does is it's connected to like 3 or 4 or how many towers are there, like physical mobile towers that are relaying your data, and using that they can pinpoint your location to a few meters or even like I think with 5G it's like few feet, like 1 or 2 feet. They can figure out exactly where you are, which floor you are if you are using a 5G phone. If the telecom industry or the telecom operator wants to figure out, they can figure out which chair you're sitting on in which floor. And yeah.
So now you know why SIM binding is important for the government, because they want to know exactly where each message was sent from, which is what will happen if SIM binding goes into
Yeah,
place.
the mobile app at least will know that something is being done because you'll see a new app pop up or some companies protest against it like Apple. But this reality of always being connected to 3 towers or 4 towers and they can triangulate your location exactly is the reality that we are living in, right? They don't have to do anything extra.
Which is what is baffling for me, which is like they can already get this data if they really wanted to. They just want to make
Yeah,
it easier for themselves.
it's more about the control of the government. See, I understand, you're talking in terms of tech and everything, but see, I mean, as you said, it's fair, but I mean, it's their responsibility to protect the people, but we don't want to invite them into our homes.
Yep.
It's their responsibility to protect people,
And yeah, it's your
respecting our
responsibility to
privacy.
protect
Yeah, right.
yourself.
See, we don't, we will not have a police person to come to
Yep.
Yeah, is there responsibility to maintain the privacy? I mean, we have the right to have, I mean, we to live, in liberty, right? So understand, like, they but it's, I would say, more of, in terms of, it's more than protection, it's more about control, like, what they have. It's more about, yeah, like,
It's, by the way, it's not even.
like there is an avenue they can, they can control. If they can't control, they want to do it, like,
Yep,
unless
yep.
there is a,
And and,
resistance to
and
it.
and
Yeah.
which is why the conversation that we are having is not about what the government should do and shouldn't do. It is fine. I mean, they will continue doing whatever. This is, I mean, the platform that we have here is about government will do whatever they want. How do I protect myself? Right. Of course, if they take extreme measures, it will get even more difficult for me to protect myself. But even then, what can we do ourselves? This thing is for us. The government wants data, the employer wants data, the big tech company wants data. How do I protect myself from these things is the question that is more important. Because we will say a lot of things. We will say the government is bad, the government should do this, the government should do that, but none of that matters, because they will do whatever they want to do. The more important question is, what can we do to protect ourselves from in this situation, which is getting
it
worse.
also depends on the society, I guess. See, some
Yep.
people, I mean, let's say, if you take US for an example, they're more, towards, like whatever the fuck, I don't care about, what government wants. I won't give anything. But if you come to the, societies like, India, or, China, I
Even
mean,
Europe.
it's people has to change their mindset. I mean, what you're saying is absolutely right. The people, probably the audience in this room, or, in the metro areas, agree with you, and, they're more enlightened in that way. But yeah, the mindset of the society has to change, to that
It does,
aspect.
it has to change, I agreed. But it's also the fact that, let's say there are 100 people, when you go out and you meet 100 people, 90 of them are going to get slapped twice. ठीक है. But if you are in the 10 people who know how to not get slapped, you would want to not get slapped, right? You would want to do anything possible to avoid getting slapped.
There are
Right.
few more things I'll add here. It's not focusing on the government will not give the idea here. If you're talking about Bitcoin, by the way, cyber storage is not a Bitcoin thing, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, if you're talking about Bitcoin, then it makes sense to focus on the government because they have the rights to print money and the Federal Reserve exists and all those stuff. With regards to privacy and centralization of the internet, the focus should not be on the government. The focus should be on these systems where power hierarchies exist.
They only have your data because you're giving them your data. Stop speaking, stop doing things. They won't have your data.
Yeah, like they might have a monopoly on violence, as people say, but it's because it's not just them. So that's one power hierarchy where the government exists on top of you, but there are other power hierarchies. Like if you are an end user, you have an IP address which is assigned to you by the router. The router got it from the ISP. The ISP got it from some register, and they got it from ICANN or IANA, International Association of Numbers and Whatever. And or maybe if you have a domain name, you got it from GoDaddy or Namecheap. So now you are at the bottom level. GoDaddy sits on top of you. On top of them sits the domain registers, .com, .org, .in, those things. And top of them exists ICANN, the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers.
The big
So there
baddie
are,
of them all.
yeah, so there are always like power hierarchies, and as soon as you have power hierarchies, the people at the top will start reducing the people at the bottom. They will start exploiting.
So summarizing, not summarizing. Okay, fine. As a normie, or who doesn't want to give, now you freak me out. Okay, as a person, and I don't know what to do. I feel like I have had private conversations with my friends, with my family and stuff, which are probably out in the open and have been told. Now I want to anonymize myself and do not want people to know. What are the steps that I need to take to keep my life private? Like, do I disconnect from all my devices and keep to myself?
It depends.
Okay.
What level of privacy slash anonymity do you want to attain? Uh,
What level of Swaraj?
what level of Swaraj you want to attain? And for most people, like if you're not a criminal, right, then it shouldn't matter to you a lot about certain things. But for most people, even if you are not a criminal, you wouldn't want your text messages to be
Yes.
seen by everyone.
Yeah.
Like they are private information.
Exactly.
You wouldn't want your calls to be heard. You wouldn't want your phone to be screened all the time.
Right.
Those are all stuff that we just don't. Why? Like, why does anybody need to know what's happening there? And to do that, you would have to then start seeing. This is a whole process that you need to go into. I can just give you
Yeah,
answers.
sure.
I can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
give you answers as well. Download Signal, download Nostr, whatever. But the whole thing that needs to happen, the whole journey that you need to go through, is at every step of the process, you need to realize what are all the places where I'm losing control. I am losing control the moment I turn on my Android phone, because Google Play services is connected. Google is going to look at everything that I'm doing on the phone. Now, is that an acceptable trade-off to you? You decide how much do you care about Google being able to access it. Then, if I download Sanchar Sathi, government is able to access it. Now you decide
Yeah.
how fine are you with the government being able to access it. You can, of course, there are methods and there are ways where you can make sure that none of this is being accessed by anybody. So if you take your own phone, flash it with an OS, to a lot of extent, you will be able to make sure that at least your phone is now a sacred space. At least your phone, the stuff, the apps that you're installing, the communication that you're doing, the notes that you're keeping on your phone, it might not be even for anybody else, just for yourself. The notes that you're keeping on your phone, at least they are private.
Question. Now, the phone, each phone has its own IMEI device number, which is obviously being monitored and controlled, if required, by anyone from the powers to be. When you're saying, delete your phone, I mean, start from the scratch, boot your phone, and install Graphene, etc., and any other operating system on it, still you can be traced back to that, right?
Your location can be, but at least your
That's everything.
at least, no, that's not everything.
Really?
Yes, because like if you are not, let's say, if all you just wanted was that whatever you're typing on the phone doesn't go away to the government, to the big tech organization, to your employer. If that's all you wanted, you are safe. If you just removed Google board, Gboard from your Android phone, you would have attained 50% of privacy, I would say,
Yeah.
because 50% of the data that you're losing is just through Gboard. Uh, and that's what the whole thing. It's not 0-1.
The levels of
That's what I want everybody to understand. It's not like you either have privacy or you don't have privacy. It's not like that. It's always like you have some levels of privacy. Either you are completely transparent to the government, like you don't have anything, you're just naked in cyberspace, or you have some clothes on. At least you're just covering yourself. So
When you are using something like WhatsApp, right? Not WhatsApp. Let's say you are using Google Drive, and Google is already scanning all your files and stuff. Even there, you have privacy if you think about it, because your ISP cannot see it, Outlook cannot see it. I mean, Microsoft cannot see it. I cannot see your files. So they are server side enforced privacy things, or privacy in transit. So privacy always exists.
if you have a private account on Instagram, I cannot see what you're posting. That is some level of privacy. Meta can see it, but I cannot see it. You have at least hidden it from me, right? So having a private account on Instagram versus having a public account on Instagram, those are two very different layers of lost privacy.
Now, adding to that, December 16th onwards, there was this new rule by Meta that whatever data that you've shared on your Facebook or Instagram, etc., can be used to train their AI models. And there was no easy way to shut that off.
Yeah.
You had to have a whole process of checklists. Okay, you're going to settings, uske andar there's privacy and all that jazz. You do those hoops and stuff. That's when you'll be able to submit a report saying that do not use my data. That's when they'll normal.
And then how are you really sure?
Exactly, you can't be sure. So you stop using such tools and things, messaging protocol. I mean, platforms altogether.
Yeah. If
that's the solution.
if that's the privacy that you want to achieve, then that is the cost that you have to give. That you have to stop using these tools. You have to stop using these, and also you have to understand the fact that whatever data you have already given is gone.
Yeah.
ठीक है, you can probably try to submit a request, and you should say कि ठीक है, if they are giving me an opportunity to say that don't use my data, I should at least say it. But even then you should be you should have some understanding that it might not really be true. If even if it's gone, you have to assume that it's gone. But yeah, you can apply.
We are talking a lot of steps, but I think one simple step. It's not related. It's also related to Meta, but you are somewhat trusting Meta in this case. But
I'm not.
one simple thing that one simple thing that you can do with people who don't even know about privacy is call them on WhatsApp. Don't like if they'll not instant
Yep.
signal and
Yep.
just call them on WhatsApp. Don't call or message them giving your knowledge. That's it. Just tell them I don't have any plan. I have internet access in my office. I'm using my Wi-Fi or whatever, and call them using WhatsApp. Start doing that.
I think already people do call via WhatsApp a lot. But yeah, if you call via your local telecom operator, that conversation is public. That conversation is a podcast. I mean, treat that conversation as a podcast.
It's a
Don't.
podcast between you, the decision, and the telecom operator.
Yes. So yeah, if you're talking anything, even like a bit private, don't do it on telecom operators, do it on WhatsApp. Even then, understand that Meta might be listening into those conversations. But yeah, again, there's layers of privacy. I would ideally want you all guys to go flash your phones, remove Android, add Lineage, or add Graphene OS, or add some other custom ROM. Even if you can't do that, stop using Gboard, use Futo or AnySoft. Don't use WhatsApp even, because Meta has a very bad track record of keeping your data. Use Signal if possible, and do Signal calls. If possible, that would be even better for your privacy. But as and when I'm saying this is very easy for me to say, but of course, because I have done this, I've been on this journey. I care about what data leaks to whom. But for other people who have convenience in mind, start somewhere. Don't use Google Chrome with a signed in profile. Right? That is the worst thing that you can do. Even if you're going to use Google Chrome, at least use it signed out. And or don't use Google Chrome at all. Use Chromium, or use Brave, or use Firefox or
I think
something.
one issue with most people who want to achieve privacy of some sorts, right, is that they don't have a support system to fall back to when things don't go right. So in Africa, I have seen, I think it's a initiative by Yakimona probably, I'm not sure that's an office, right? So
Yakina is
they
a
have
great Nostr client. You can check it out.
so they have Telegram groups where and WhatsApp groups where they add people, and those people can ask them questions about Nostr and Bitcoin. And those are community leaders. They don't have any jobs on some Nostr line or some. They're not working on Nostr that way, but they help people onboard to Nostr. So if you want to use Nostr, they'll just guide you through the process. If you face any problems, if you don't understand something, you can just ask them. So I think what's missing right now, we have talked about these things, I think twice or thrice now till now. But what we need next is we'll probably most definitely will create a signal group or something for cyber sodas, the community of cyber sodas, where you guys can join in. Any steps that you ask, anything that crosses your mind, you just post the question there, and we'll try to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
The steps.
Also, I think we should assume people around you are reasonable people, and if you provide them evidence, they'll make the changes. So, personally, I've been able to convince people around me to switch to such things. So, I think more people should raise their voice and say, okay, this is what's happening. And
I go a step further. I say I am not on WhatsApp. If you want to reach me on Signal. That's how you can do it.
It's a good thing. No, but
think it all
congratulations.
comes down to
Sorry. Congratulations, because people do not give a shit, to be honest. They're like, nahi, mere paas hai WhatsApp. I don't mind. I cannot. I don't want to put in that extra
Yeah,
effort.
मेरे
Do
पास भी
anything.
है WhatsApp, पर मैं बताता नहीं हूँ until
It's absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
It's also, see, convenience is one thing. It also, you're locked into the system.
Yeah.
You said don't use the browser logged in.
Yes.
But I just want to check my calendar, check my drive, and then I'll be just log, instead of logging in every time, just log in once, and use all of the services. And that's one of the thing. See, I'm not saying like we shouldn't do what you said. Maybe like as you said, if you do something like maybe you take it one level, like easy, you do these things, then you do a next level.
Yep.
People don't want to do things at the cost of convenience, at the cost of their productivity. Like, yeah, why will I have to do it?
About the convenience of Knox.
Yeah, I mean, I've not used it, but see, if you say to me, I mean, I have like what 100 tabs open in my Chrome
Yeah.
right now,
Yes.
and it's all for convenience. I've logged in all of them, whatever three I have, three accounts. I've logged into three accounts. If I want to just switch between them, I'll switch. Then it's all about convenience right now. Yeah, and also you're locked into the system.
To
But
be honest,
I'm just giving you my
Yeah, yeah, for
perspective.
sure.
there are different layers of it. So like I also have logged in accounts in my Chrome, but not at the browser level. So they don't know, they might know like, okay, this IP address has this account logged in, and they might have some cookies injected in it, so they might know this guy is also using these websites, but at least they don't have access to my complete browser, and they can't see every activity that happens on my complete browser. So I also don't I have to be very honest, I haven't missed that convenience. I also miss convenience. I also like things being convenient, but just logging into websites and like being remembered is better than being logged into the browser itself.
One thing that I have done in my own setup is like use different browsers. That's it.
You
For
use different browsers, great.
specifically for doing Drive stuff, Gmail stuff, and all of that, it's just Chrome. Thorium for my work, Arc for my AI stuff, where all my AI accounts are logged in, and then Brave for all general signed out stuff that I wanna search on random shit. So like different browser. It's one time setup.
Yes,
Yeah,
and yeah,
basically.
and you should even do it this with AI, because like when you're talking to AI, you would want the like if you're just generating code, it's fine if you're using a logged in version. You get all the conveniences also, and it's all right. Like, but good. I will never stop a person who wants convenience and say to them that don't get convenience, because it's convenience is good, but understand what you're giving up for that convenience. And if you're fine with what you're giving up, like I'm fine if my code goes to ChatGPT, it's all right. And if you're fine with what you're giving up, that's
While
completely a
talking
call.
about convenience, most people don't realize that if you build the systems right, like how we are trying to do with Monster, you get even more convenience than what you get from the typical application. So
Totally.
yeah, how it works is, let's say you are using calendar.formstar dot app, a base app where you can create your own calendar stuff. You have your calendar events. Now let's say I built some other app for myself because I was always wanted to do that. I can switch to it, and I don't have to like log out, export. I mean, delete my account, export my data, take it here, and do it all. Like all those stuff don't matter here, but I can just log in. So this, and no one is tracking it hopefully, and we build the system right, no one can track it because it's all encrypted. So it can be much more convenient than what we have today without the privacy, loss of privacy and sovereignty. So that can be built, and we are trying to build it, and a lot of people are trying to do it. But it's not that convenience is. I mean, let's think about private key management, right? People say, well, using Noxer is difficult because you have to remember the private key, you have to store it somewhere. There are always private keys involved. Even with Apple cloud storage, you have private keys there. That's why if you turn on advanced, what do you call it, advanced data protection, you have private keys that are encrypting data before sending it to Apple cloud. And users don't see it. Like it has been abstracted away in a way that you just don't see it. And once you get the phone, it comes with privacy features by default. So if you can make Nostr or all this other stuff evolve into that position where you don't even have to think about it, then we win. And it is possible. It's not like
Yeah.
that we have to always trade privacy for convenience. When we have like something called Maple AI, try TRY, Maple, MAPLE dot AI. I would not trust it obviously like I'll trust a locally running LLM, but it is encrypted in a way using hardware-based, secure element-based, or not, what do you call it? Hardware security modules on the server side, so that even the service provider, Maple themselves cannot see your AI chat. Whatever is happening is getting encrypted by the hardware itself, and the hardware is interpret supposedly. But yeah, like all these conveniences can be offered to you without you using your phone.
I think, yeah, go
um, I had two questions really. One might be a suggestion, but the first thing is like the profit incentive is so huge for these big tech companies that they will always optimize for you to just like make the uh, UX as smooth as possible, because it's just billions of dollars at stake there, right? So like I feel like we're at a losing end of that battle, because no matter how much protocol, more private keys, because it really puts a lot of friction on the user. Like there is a cost to doing that, and they have incentivized, and also, as I said, because they've really gamified the system in terms of like the dopamine effects and everything else. It's really addictive. Like the supply creates demand there, right? Basically, it's like very addictive usage. Yeah, so I am not sure like how much we can do that. I want to do that, of course. My second question was like, now I can see a lot of data sharing happening across the board. Like if I chat somebody on WhatsApp, I can see suggestions related to that. Like for example, I just asked a friend of mine for some movie recommendation, and I could see a trailer of that popping up in YouTube, right? I'm guessing that's basically the ISP leaking the data
Yes.
overside, right? So any recommendations there? How can I protect myself?
Even Meta does that with its own tracking services, and then it sells your data to Google, so Google can
Yeah, of
give you
course. So
the.
that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
behind the scenes, a lot of data
Yeah.
is getting sold
Yeah.
over there, right? So how do you have any suggestions? How can one can protect ourselves there? Of course, VPN is one of the way, but VPN comes at a massive user experience. Because I'm working, I can't connect to a VPN because like the network effect, and because sometimes I have to work remotely, it's like too costly for me. Like in the sense that in performance effects, basically.
Yeah. So one thing is that I mean it's not entirely related to the conversation that we are having, but I just had this idea recently where I realized that let's look at how we live in real life, right? Let's say fast food is always fast and available, and it is much cheaper than healthy food. Most people will still go for healthy food. Most people will still set up kitchens at their home and stuff, even if it is inconvenient. And they may not have done it in, let's say, in the 90s when fast food first became popular in India, or wherever it became popular in India, or maybe in the 60s and 70s when it became a popular thing in the US. People might have uh, been lured by conveniences, but eventually you look at it this way, like eventually after a generation or two, especially people who are born into this thing, born into the mess, they
Gen
don't want
Z.
to live in this mess, and they eventually find out ways to free themselves. There's always a correction that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, so you'll notice that younger kids, you have a bunch who are like completely into observed by their iPads, and then you have people who are trying to detox, who don't have social media. I keep meeting high schoolers who don't have social media. Yeah, Gen Z is like now. Yeah, they're like, well, this fucks with my head.
So for question number one, the profit incentive. Are you a Bitcoiner? No. Bitcoin fixes it.
Also, yeah, to add to that question, right? Like when you were asking if you are chatting with your friend and there are recommendations which are popping up, create friction between the apps itself. Like now you use the meta ecosystem is such that you're sharing something on Instagram, the same thing appears on WhatsApp. Turn off, yeah. No, I'm just giving example.
I was on WhatsApp before it was a meta thing.
Yeah,
It got
yeah,
acquired later.
yeah.
I deleted Facebook like 8 years back.
Great.
Not on
Awesome.
Insta or anything.
Nice.
I hate meta for quite a bit. So
Good
I've
stuff.
never been, but WhatsApp, the network effect is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the WhatsApp network effect is too strong. I couldn't
Yeah.
avoid that. I tried to pitch it to my friends, and it was a losing battle. Signal and Telegram, I lost the battle very much so. And also the fact that everyone pretty much asks for your number, and if you
Yeah.
want to get something delivered or anything else, like the network effect of WhatsApp is too strong. I have not been able to beat that.
Another thing I would
Yeah.
like to remind people is if people ask for your number, you
Yeah.
don't have to give it.
I know.
And I hope people do realize that. It's like going to
Yeah.
McDonald's and all you
I
want is
don't.
a burger.
Yeah, that's
You
my
don't
first
have to
question
give
to
your
anyone,
number.
right? Like, do you need this? It's mandatory. If not, I just ask them to put a
Yeah.
random number.
I
So,
mean,
like, yeah.
yeah, with like this thing that you said that with recommendations. So something that I did is you don't allow any app to save your history. So for example, with YouTube,
Yeah.
I saw this happening about 5 years back. If I was interested in something, if I was talking about something, I was being recommended the same thing.
Yeah.
So I disabled YouTube to have or save any of my previous history.
Yeah.
So now whenever I open YouTube, it's a blank page. So I don't get any recommendations. I have to now search for something that I
Fair.
really want to look at.
Yeah.
So now I know is it important to me or not.
Right.
So any platform that you're using, which you know saves your history, there will always be an option of making sure that it does not save your history, and that way you start afresh every single time. So
Fair.
that is one thing that can be done.
This thing I do, like I again have two separate. One is a browser YouTube, one is a YouTube app.
Right.
App is logged in. I want recommendations. I watch 5 videos
Sure.
and it gives me good. And the browser one does not have anything.
I think I'm more. I have done all these things. In fact, I do it myself. I use Brave and incognito mode. Basically, if I want to watch, I don't want recommendations for the future. And if I want something, as you said, like I use Chrome for if I want to do some movies or like junk watching. Basically, right? I'm fine with that. But I was more speaking to the fact that WhatsApp data. I asked for recommendation, but the data popped up on YouTube.
Yep.
Like this is cross-platform.
Yep.
Whatever I could do within the platform itself, I have done.
Yeah.
Like from cross-platform perspective, I have not that much idea other than VPN. VPN also I use for extreme cases, where I'm like actually I don't want, like if I'm doing something Bitcoin, actually I do VPN. I want to do research. Mostly I am more into that. I don't mind, but I'm very curious person. Whichever lets me out of the state's control, I am curious about that, right? So I would rather do research on that, right? So
Yeah.
I prefer to do that on VPN. But
Yes.
like anything else, I would not go for that, right? But I don't want this to happen yet, right? Like WhatsApp to YouTube, I don't want that boundary to be crossed. But that is happening. I'm pretty sure that's the ISP playing
I
the
think, yeah, you're right, and
Yeah.
I think where you're stuck here, one of the most, like, this is the sad reality of the internet right now, because everything is tied to your IP address. It is very easy to track you across your usage on all the platforms. So without a VPN, it would be very hard to do any of this. We can talk about mesh networks. We can do all of those things, but then they also have a convenience cost. It's not the same. So yeah, there's no easy solution. I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is get a good VPN with good bandwidth. Bandwidth is not an issue if you have a paid VPN service. They do good bandwidth. You can watch videos.
like remotely.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to SSH into remote services, and if I have a VPN on top, that hops like it's crazy slow. I can't work like that. So
Okay. I do
yeah,
SSH as well. That with VPN. So
not just SSH. Windows is shit.
Windows. That's your problem.
More slow.
Before continuing, and because we went to SSH and VPNs and stuff, I'll just briefly explain how the internet is currently working. Right? Let's say you view a post from someone on Twitter. What are all the things that you had to trust before you could see that post? Initially, let's say you have a system. I'll simplify the system, so it's like caching and those kind of stuff are removed. You hit x.com. What is x.com? There is no such thing as x.com on the internet. Right? You have your phone, you have your device, you have your hard drive, but there is no such thing as x.com. So to know what x.com is, your device has to first go somewhere and figure out what x.com is. To do that, it goes to 8.8.8.8, for example. What is 8.8.8.8? Again, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as 8.8.8.8. So now it has to ask the router saying, take me to 8.8.8.8. This is the IP address, so that I can figure out who x.com is.
Yes.
DNS resolution, basically. So how do you know that the packet that you got from 8.8.8.8 is actually from 8.8.8.8? Because there is no such thing, right? So you have to trust the entire process of getting your DNS address or the domain name resolved. From there, now you have to know that you are okay. So you find out that the IP address of X is, let's say 5.5.5.5 or whatever. It's not that, but let's say it is. So now you have to communicate with 5.5.5.5. How do you know that you are communicating with them? You don't. So now you are sending packages. Like you are just sending it to the router. Router is sending somewhere. It is going there, coming back. Now you are trusting that this entire system is working. While communicating using SSL, what's that?
SSL, TSL.
Yes, SSL and TSL certificates, which used to be shown as a green log in your browsers. It's not. I don't think it's shown anymore.
It's shown.
Okay. Yeah. So in that case, it is digitally signed now. We are introducing cryptography. But there's a catch. How do you know that the certificate or the signature, digital signature that says 5.5.5.5 belongs to x.com? Both of those things are nonsensical things. How do you know that this thing actually works? Well, you have a bunch of public keys that you trust that comes with the system by default. So you just ask the system, hey, is it valid? They say, yeah, it's valid. So now you're just trusting the operating system to have come with the proper public keys, and you're trusting the public key operators to have not leaked their keys or to not have been compromised. And there are like 150 keys or something, and even if one was compromised, it could be broken. It's a miracle that the internet is even working. Like seriously, it's all so broken fundamentally.
But to say there is still hope. The hope is mesh networks. In case of internet, the hope is Noster. For in the first case, Noster is built on top of it, on top of the internet, but it introduces a private key that you sign stuff with. So the authentication is built into the network. As in, we know if this message is coming from let's say Basanta, I can be damn sure that it's Basanta only that's speaking to me, nobody else, because that communication is encrypted. It's signed with the keys that Basanta owns, and this whole system is foolproof. So Nostr is one. It's not exactly a mesh network, but then there are mesh networks. What mesh networks do is how we talked about the whole thing about we don't really need ISPs to be able to communicate. If I want to communicate to you, I know that you know I can communicate to him and he knows you, and I can reach you. What this is what mesh networks allow us to do. I think I'll name drop a few mesh networks because I really want to. You can check out Yggdrasil, Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil is a great network. What it basically does is it gives you an IP address that is not internet IP address. It is an IP address of the Yggdrasil network. So whoever is on the Yggdrasil network will be able to reach that IP address and be able to communicate. So you can host servers and do a lot of things with full bandwidth. That you can do on the regular internet, you can also do it on that mesh. Reticulum is also good. CJDNS is good. Meshtastic is great. Meshtastic is great because it allows you to communicate without any barriers. You own your complete communication stack is with you. So if I'm here, if there's a Meshtastic device here in Bitshala, and if I am there in my home, I can communicate via radio signals that operate in the 450 megahertz band. So it's legal communications. BitChat. Yeah, BitChat is Nostr essentially. The global communications is Nostr. The mesh is Bluetooth. The global is Nostr. Yeah. No. So I would like to remind everyone that don't use Blue Sky. If you are looking if you are looking for decentralized tech, Blue Sky is a LARP. You know what a LARP is? It pretends to be decentralized tech, but it's not. Just uninstall Blue Sky.
Yeah, back to his question about VPNs. If you connect to a VPN and still sign into Facebook, they know it's you. So they tie everything to you. So connecting to a VPN does not do as much as.
But it still hides the fact that you are connecting to Facebook from your ISP. So you still gain certain privacy. So
not that you ever connected before, they still know. Also, the VPN servers have their
logs.
Signatures.
Yes.
And they'll know, okay, he's using a VPN now.
Yes,
so,
but all they know is he's using a VPN. They don't know anything else.
Exactly. So they can still sell the data. Oh, it's him. I can sell the data to his Google account.
Meta can do that, but your ISP can't do that anymore.
And another one is use ad nauseum. So it's a ad blocker which also clicks on the ads. So it fucks with the targeted ads. Whichever targeted ads you get, it sends a fake click to them and it reduces their ROI. So it's a way of protesting against this whole system. Ad nauseum.
Nice.
It's on Firefox.
So I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it. No, it does it. But you don't do it on your device. I'm hoping that.
They have only the ones, and it doesn't open up any tab on the system or anything. It's just a ping to the server that to Google that hey, someone has clicked on it. So nothing comes to your systems, even if it's malware.
So one question I had was you were talking about public key. You have your own private key, something like that. Nowadays, we see that phone number is used, and there is this OTP system. You can all the apps use OTP. Government apps, banking apps. Just by your number, you can log into all of your social media. You can log into all of your Google accounts. Just forget password. You enter into it. So, is there a way to sort of because how widely it is adopted, especially in India, I don't see it being adopted in other countries as much as it is adopted in India. So I think it's a very fragile sort of
Yes,
system.
yes, it is very fragile. OTP systems, as much as the governments want us to trust it, I don't think the governments themselves realize how messed up the OTP system is and how easily the whole OTP communications network can be spoofed. They think it's a security measure, but it's actually lessening your security. And the more we rely on OTP, the worse it gets. So you're right, but I don't have, except the fact that we need to tell this to people and we need to get the word out. I don't have any other method to tackle that.
So one more thing, like I think we should start diving into the physical layer now.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's why I introduced.
we've gone like yeah.
That no, but we did discuss the physical layer. I think all of you guys are seeing that the problem is the IP, right? The problem is the IP and the problem is the ISP, and that IP is the whole physical layer of the internet that has been constructed in a way. I don't think it was constructed maliciously. I don't think it was done so that we'll be able to track everyone on the world. I don't think that was the case. It's just that we didn't see how it could have been exploited, and now it is being exploited. And the only way that we have to protect ourselves from that is to supersede the whole. So there's this whole. If you're not a Bitcoiner, you should know this thing, that when fiat money was created, there was a guy called Hayek, and he said that the only way that we'll ever be able to get rid of fiat money is to have a currency come in a sly roundabout way that can supplant the whole system. And I guess that is the only hope that we have for communications network as well. As in, you can't beat the ISP, you can't beat the IP that's already there. What you can do is you can create networks either on top of it or supplant it from it. That can help you bypass the IP address altogether. Because as long as you're tied to IP addresses, you'll always have to come up with ways like VPN and ways to hide Tor or other mesh networks to be able to hide your IPs.
Also, like thing is, when censorship started happening on X or on Twitter, where people got freaked out and they started building Nostr, right? So that was happening at the application layer, so where your data, personally identifiable data or public posts and stuff were getting censored. Once you move from there, the natural next step is to go to the servers and stuff. Even if you use Nostr, maybe the relays get targeted. Now you move a little below that same tech hierarchy, right? Eventually you'll get to IP addresses. If not today, eventually you'll get to the point where IP addresses are, you have to KYC to get an IP address or something like that.
You already need to KYC to get an IP address.
Mandatory, and
Yes.
those things will happen. So eventually we'll have to get rid of IP addresses, and those things will, like, it will need to get replaced with something else. Another thing is, even though we're building Nostr and all the cryptographic stuff, there's a or post or article from someone named Odalbat about how we should be very careful about what we're building, because even this system can turn into a surveillance nightmare. So we have to be very, very careful about the direction that we take. Because I'll give you one example. Told you about the Maple AI thing, right? Maple or Maple? I don't know.
Maple.
Yeah. So that's it uses hardware-based cryptographic stuff basically. So you send some data inside. To send the data inside, first you get the public key from the hardware. Think of it as a CPU. It's a normal CPU, but it has some extra features with it. So it gives you one public address. You can encrypt the data and send it to the hardware directly. So if you know the public key of the server, I can send some data from here, and the service people operating the server cannot see it because it's encrypted, and the service itself processes everything. Even if you look at the RAM or the storage, everything is encrypted. That sounds like a fine system for privacy, and it is used as a fine system of privacy. But the same system is also abused now for surveilling on. How it's done is, for example, you have two kinds of cryptography. One is symmetric, one is asymmetric. So it's a bit technical, but all you have to understand is asymmetric is when you want to encrypt something that the other person can decrypt. So if I'm sending you some data, I'll be encrypting it in asymmetric way, where I only have your public key. I'll encrypt the data using that public key so that using your private key you can decrypt it. If I'm encrypting data for myself, then it becomes symmetric encryption, where I'm just keeping one key, or symmetric encryption, where I'm just also using the same secret key to decrypt the data because it's only for myself. Apple used to have a system where your biometric data was inside a chip, one unbreakable chip, hardware chip, and that chip also had the logic for checking your biometric to decrypt the data that's stored on your hard drive or a memory chip that's on the iPhone. So what that meant was, as long as that small chip is secure, which is like tamper-proof, if you try to remove it or try to look into it, it will just self-destruct. As long as that's secure, your data that's on the iPhone cannot be taken out by anyone else. That used to be the case, and that used to be a very good privacy feature. Now what has happened is Google, most of the new phones do not just come with symmetric encryption for yourself, it also has asymmetric keys. So it's not only generating on public private key, it's also generating on public key. And what it's doing is it is checking. For example, it's checking what kind of OS you are building or what kind of OS you are running. Is it certified by Google? If it is not, then it's not letting you do certain things. For example, if you try to install X, the mobile app on Graphene OS, Pixel has this feature where it will check the OS hash. It will see that it's not matching with Google's published hash, and then it will also check the app where it is installed from. If it is not from Google Play Services, signed by Google, all those stuff, then it will send that information to X, and X will not allow you to use the app. So now that privacy feature itself has become a surveillance feature. So yeah, it's very difficult to not get into that.
Yep, yeah, but at the same time, I would not want to leave you guys distraught and 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 think that there is no hope, because hope is there where you look for it, right? Like, you guys understood that okay, there's these all things, bad things are happening on the internet, in the country, in the world, and you guys came here, right? Because you saw, you could feel the things the things that were happening. If you just start taking the steps, you will realize how easy it is. You like right now, you we all think that, yeah, we can't live without a phone, but just live without it for 7 days. Just try to do that exercise, and you'll find out that it's not necessary for your survival. ठीक है? Even though I have a phone on me, and it's very hypocritical for me to say, but but yeah, we have lived without our phones for a while, right? And it's that is the worst thing that can happen to you. Like, that is the worst thing that you can do to yourself, is not be without a phone, right? Then you have to realize, okay, now I need my phone at least to be able to live in this modern world. Now what I can do to start gaining my privacy back, start gaining my life back. We have all lost our lives to big tech, to governments, and now we now only we are deciding how do we start getting our lives back. Now then you'll realize ki, okay, if I was ready to give up my phone, then this is easy. Then not being logged into my browser was fine. It's not a huge deal. Trying to flash another OS onto my phone is not a big deal. It's doable. And I'll tell you, like, I have Graphene on my phone right now, and it is better than Google's Android. The experience on Graphene OS that you have is better. Why it's better is because you get so much storage that you didn't even realize that you could get on phones. Google, you get so much battery that you get, because Google's tracking services are not running on your phone all the time. So you get you get battery, you get storage, you get RAM. You can suddenly run so many applications at the same time on your phone that you didn't think was even possible. So it's in all ways better than the Google thing. But you just had to take the step to decide, this is something that I want to do. This is a step that I want to take, a deliberate step into gaining my own life back, getting my own life back from these big tech things.
Maybe after this whole meetup, probably, I know there are a lot of instructions out there. There's a BTC sessions link as well, but it would be great if you could share a few steps, Vasudha, you and on how to de-Google your phone
Yes.
using Graphene, and there's something called TailOS.
I think what we'll do is, TailOS, I think, sucks. But TailOS and EOS sucks. I think they have backdoored things because EOS is funded by the French government, and we know what they are doing. Even Calyx OS is also has some funding. So just because they have funding doesn't mean they're necessarily bad, but like, something that you want to watch out for. If you're degoogling, Lineage is good. I think Lineage has proven itself that it doesn't do all the good things that Graphene OS does, but it's at least it's not Google. Then if you can, then Graphene is obviously the best thing. But yeah, after this session is over, what we can at least do is we can try to have everybody join in on Signal and just have a Noster quick Noster thing and a quick download in Graphene. Yeah.
Or probably also there could be, because all of us are here and all of us are already deep into the big tech system, there could be levels of privacy everyone would be comfortable exploring, say level 1, 2, 3, where level 3 is extreme, throw all of your devices and live a monk's life. That's not going to happen with any of us. But level 2 or 3, where you can probably de-google your phone, check what spyware or snoopingware is on your laptop or other devices, and try to get rid of those things, or try to keep them minimal.
Has everybody used Linux here? I think a lot of people. So you guys know how much Windows sucks.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same feeling you get when you install Graphene or a different operating system on your phone.
But
You start realizing.
but I feel like Graphene OS is like so ironically only for Google phones. So if the good thing or the great thing about Linux is even if it's like a dead PC from years ago, you can just put it will run. So something like that for Android phones
No,
is
it's not possible. You know why it's not possible? Because these manufacturers, these OEMs, what they do is they lock the kernel. So, and the kernel is Android. So you can supplant the operating system, but you cannot change the kernel. So the kernel has to stick to Android. So you can only put an Android operating system on an Android device. Even if you try to put Linux on it, it will not work because these OEMs have locked the kernel. It's not true for all the devices. Ubuntu Touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's special for Graphene because Graphene focuses on security along with privacy, and that's why they chose this device.
Yes.
This
So basically, the reason that they did it was because Google's processor does memory tagging, which means that every piece of RAM usage that happens on the phone is tagged, which means that they are able to see that anything that they didn't want to be stored on the RAM of your device is not there. You can be sure of that on Graphene. That security element is not there on any other chip. They have built a virtual layer of that on Snapdragon, and they're coming out with a new device next year probably. So you'll probably see a new Graphene OS device other than Pixel next year.
So like, how do they monetize? Because I know Signal
they
is
don't
not.
monetize.
That's the problem.
Donations.
Exactly. Both like Signal and I am not seeing a long term solution. Fair. Yeah, like Wikipedia.
Yeah. So, so the profit incentive.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah, the profit incentive is different for these kinds of projects is because their cost is also very less. So think about it doesn't take 200 engineers or I'm not even 200. I think there's 20,000 engineers, 200,000 maybe in some of these big tech companies that are working and their expenses need to be paid, while in the Signal team would probably only be 50 people.
yeah, but
So
scale matters, right? Once you scale up the operations and everything else blow
I
up,
think
then you
I
need
think
more
I think I think
expenses.
that's a bias that we have, and I think that bias is wrong. things don't Noster, like Noster has scaled to around 2 million users at this point. Sorry, 200 million pub keys that have been registered in lifetime, and around 100,000 or 50,000 daily active users. So and it's scaling without any big company or a big company putting up their servers or anything. So I think the bias that we have, that you need a lot of money to be able to scale, is a bias that comes from centralized systems itself. They have to put money because they are centralized and they are collecting your data and they are targeting you, and they have to run indexes and AI stuff on
There,
your data. That is why they need all that
perhaps,
money.
like I think
Is dead? Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. We can keep this in the middle.
Yeah, no. Just give it across.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Continue, guys. Yeah. Also, it's like it's on us to vote with our wallets. Even if we support the cause, we should donate, and in the end, we will be funding it.
if the scaling factor is not a thing, then I think it's sustainable as
Yep.
well. And
Yep. I'll be honest. You can do your own research, of course, and you should. But the scaling factor is not a thing. The scale is a myth.
no, I think it became a myth. Because initially there was not enough compute in everybody's hands for
Yes.
us to do that. So
Yes.
ISPs also came into the fact because they became a premium monetization service initially because they needed money because there was not enough compute anyone. So
Yep.
now it's so ubiquitous. Now maybe we can scale it. Like the entire thing of peer to peer is that, right? Like now every individual owns enough compute that and networking that it can be scaled easily. That could be true,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I'm still I need to know. Like yeah,
Yep.
of course,
Yep.
like X, Elon Musk would prove that 80% after laying off also X is working. So yeah, that might be true.
Yep.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Also, like you don't need everyone to be connected to the same server, right? So if I'm, let's say I'm using a Signal group. Now Signal has to run. So that's one of the criticisms that I have for Signal is not allowing custom servers to be set for yourselves. So if that could be done, I could have been running a server here. Maybe I have a system, a old laptop or something that's I'm not using. I'm keeping it here, and I'm only using it for my own messages. So anyone who sends it to me comes to that laptop, or for groups that I create. In that case, Signal doesn't have to worry about the infra there. So if that could be sharded, which is possible and
Which
which
is
should be
easily
the,
possible.
yeah,
Simplex has already done it. White Noise does it.
yeah,
Nostr
Nostr
does
is
it.
already
Yeah.
like that.
So it's already possible.
So if you shard it, then I think it becomes also like not much of a issue with
So
scale.
scale is a problem when you have to put all your data in a one network or one computer, or five computers. That then scale becomes a problem. Yes. Yes.
They don't need storage. They just set it and
Exactly.
it's done. So
Yep.
we don't need to worry about
Yeah, the
the.
cost is distributed across the nodes
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Cool. Do you think we should wrap up now? And huh? Yeah, okay. Find one final Q&A to people. Any questions that you have left, and then we'll close.
Any doubts you have, anything related to privacy, security, physical stuff, uh, SIM cards, whatever, anything that you guys.
How many of us over here have has watched The Family Man? Oh, just yeah. I think the best way to be is like Chellam sir. Just use the feature phones and discard your SIM cards every time.
Don't use a phone.
So you mentioned that there is a cost that you have to give if you want to achieve a level of security. So I had a question about this graphene OS. Like if I flash my phone with graphene,
Mm-hmm.
then am I losing out on using some of the apps which are like government issued or
Yes.
okay?
Yes, some,
So
but
that's a
to be fair, matlab, I'm also, see, I'm a very normie person. I'll just let you know. I use all the government things if possible. So as long as the government lets me be private, and all the companies that lets me be private, I will use their things. Okay. So some of the things work, some of the things don't work. Some banking apps will work, some banking apps will not work. It's a hit and miss. So you might
Okay.
lose out on some things, but some things will work.
Are there any instances which, um, like, would you be able to tell anything which you found as you were
Not
losing out on in when you're using?
So I think one banking app, yeah, I Google Pay blocked me out from Graphene, and then they
Okay.
let me back in. I don't know why. Why did they do that? But what that led to happen was I stopped using Google Pay, now just using Phone Pay because they let me use it.
Okay.
So but yeah, that was one instance that I got blocked out. Yeah.
There's also this app called Plexus where you can check which apps work, which apps don't. It's like community
Yes.
driven.
Yes.
So I use Graphene as well, and I have had no problems at all. In
Yep.
fact, it has solved all of the problems I used to have with performance or privacy security.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I would say it was a worthwhile upgrade.
Yep. Graphene OS is definitely an upgrade. You should upgrade in your life.
Not related to graphene, but I realized one thing that I like, one of my personal philosophies now, which is I was using Gboard, and because I'm from Assam, but I live in Bangalore. I've been living here for 7, 8 years now, and I lose touch with Assamese if I don't speak it or don't write it. So right after a while, I'll forget words. I can't write it anymore. So what I do is, me and my brother, we always type in Assamese, like on WhatsApp, Signal, anywhere, just to stay in, like, keep it fresh, right? Anyway, otherwise you'd be using the Roman letters to type Assamese, right? But we use Gboard to type proper Assamese. And I realized that Gboard is the only thing that can give the experience that I wanted. And all the other keyboards were like a complete mess. So I started building my own thing. Initially for Assamese, now it has Assamese, Bengali, and Hindi support, and it's completely FOSS MIT license. And then I wanted to publish it because I asked my brother to install it. He was like, "How do I install an APK? It's not letting me install it." So I was like, "Okay, we have to publish it. Where do I publish it?" It cannot be Google Play Store, right? So I ended up using Zap Store. While using Zap Store, I realized Zap Store is by the way, it's an app store for Android built on Nostr. You can check it out if you want. Zap Store, ZAP store.dev. That's the URL. And then I realized that, okay, but I'm hosting my code on GitHub, and then I'm using Zapstore to publish it. What can I do? So I realized that, okay, there is a solution for Git stuff on Nostr. It's like, I think, sub protocol for Git. So I started hosting my code there. And whatever I find issues, I just ping those guys like, "Hey, this is an issue, this is an issue, this is an issue," and they fix it. So now my entire build pipeline is using I'm replacing GitHub completely with Nostr stuff, and replacing Zap Store with App Store. I mean App Store with Zap Store, right? Google Play Store with Zap Store. Now I also created a Linux iBus integration for the same system, so that I could type it in my system as well. Because I'm using WhatsApp on my desktop to communicate with him, and some of the text I'm typing using my keyboard here, and on my phone I'm typing using my keyboard app. So it was a miss. Some texts were in Assamese, some were in English letters, so the English alphabet. So I decided I'll build an iBus integration. But there is no easy way to ask him. By the way, I also made my brother install Linux, and he's not a technical person. I asked him to install this iBus integration into his system, and it was a complete mess. Like, oh, go into the terminal, go into CD into this folder, type dot slash install dot sh, and it's not letting you execute. I was like, okay, it's a mess. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to figure out a way to build an app store using Nostr for Linux. So whatever problems I'm facing, not just in regards to privacy, also like sovereignty, something that's not allowing me to use the system easily. I'm building a system that has much less friction, basically. And yeah, that's, I think, a good way to look at it. You look at systems that allow you to use it easily compared to the existing system.
Once you fix it for yourself, it will also get automatically fixed for everyone else. So that's the best part of doing it open source.
Anything else? No, I was like, that's what I mean. Open source developers, designers, and the whole community in general is very underrated. People do not give them the importance that they should be doing. When you look at the pay scales and the pay grades of all the software developers, it's all tied to Meta, Google. Oh, they're earning so much and stuff. But the people who are actually building stuff and who are actually solving problems are open source developers and the whole community in general. And shameless plug, yeah, Bitshala is one such place where you'll find open source developers and the design community as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, there's one more question. Echoing. नहीं, दे दिया.
Okay, I heard you mention once about content authenticity or something. Could you expand on that? What did you mean by that?
So when you, let's say you post something on X and I see what you're seeing, how do I know that it's you that has said this, and X servers have not malformed your content in between and have shown it to me. There's no way of knowing this. The only proper way where you are 100% sure is you have signed your message with your private key, and I have then verified your signature with your public key, that okay, now I know that there could have been no malforming, no injection, nothing of that sort in the message that you have sent out.
What exactly do you mean by signing?
Signing is you sign a message, and when you sign a message, so how much are you with in terms of maths?
Quite a bit.
Okay, do you know what
Very
hashing
advanced.
means?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we do is essentially is we take your private key and then we hash your the message that that you want to let out. So that message becomes a hash. If I have your public key, I would be able to dehash it into the message. But that will only work if the message has not been transformed or malformed in between. So you are sure the only person that will ever be able to. This is encryption. Signing is different, but
I'm confused, but yeah,
yes. So signing is you take that message and you build a hash out of that message with your private key, and then I am able to validate that this the hash that you have generated has been for this message only. No other message can reproduce the same hash that you have sent me.
I see. So does this hash also survive things like there, for example, JPEG compression?
Yes.
Does this hashing also survive
So you
that?
would want to compress after you have sorry, you would want to sign after you have done the compression.
So yeah, there is one. That's you have pointed
This is
the
a
right
very good
question. Yeah.
question, by the way. Yes.
So if you are on YouTube, you upload a video, the resolutions that you have can be generated dynamically, like slowly one by one, right? On Nostr, if you upload a picture, it cannot be modified now to make a smaller version of it without losing the authenticity of the
Or
content.
you could sign multiple versions of the
So, but you have to do it
image.
previously, like it's a
Yes, yes,
pre-processing thing. You can't do it after posting it. So yeah,
yes.
that's one issue with media in Nostr, but yeah.
Yeah.
But for text, it's not an
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, for text is not a big deal.
I see. Thanks. Just one more question. Like hashing, how expensive is it?
It's
Is it?
very cheap, very
Okay,
cheap.
very
Like
cheap.
you don't it, like it can be done on the. Yeah, it's a very solved problem, and like the lowest of compute devices that you can have will be able to hash and will be able to sign and encrypt stuff.
I see. Thanks.
Yeah, I think.
I think we're done. Thanks a lot, everybody here in this room. Thanks for joining us. And this was us from Cyber Swaraj signing off online. We're still here offline with you guys. So let's just stop the stream. Okay.
That's why you come to Bitspace for the event. Okay, so you can stay.